to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today I have a treat for you because the discussion is one that I think a lot of us can relate to at some time or another. Taking a leap into starting a business or whatever your new passion or desire might be. I'm sitting down with Marianna Zimmerman, who owns the very aptly named interior design firm, The Best Is Yet to Come Designs. Now, Marianna had 20 years of experience helping her friends and family design their homes part-time as she worked a full-time career. She was putting her passion of owning a business, a design business, on the side. She then met her husband, who encouraged her to use her creative gift. She enrolled in QC Design School and graduated in 2001. She became a certified interior designer and then an ASP home stager in 2009. If you are someone who is questioning your gift, and yes, you have one, right? And maybe you need a little push to take that first step, then Marianna and her advice is probably going to be for you. Hi, Marianna. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, Luann. How are you?
I am great. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to this conversation, Marianna, because you sent me a really nice email. And I love that the name of your business is called The Best Is Yet to Come. And I love that you just said, you first of all, you told me that you listened to the show, which I thank you and appreciate you for. And you said, I found a very, I guess I'm going to put words in your mouth because you didn't say this, but it seemed like it was almost like a come to Jesus type of a lesson that you could follow your passion, to your words, after the age of 40. And that seemed like something that was kind of hard for you to embrace. And you said, if that was the case for me, then maybe there's other people that have or are struggling with that, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. I've had a lot of people question, oh, how did you start? And, oh, wow, so you didn't start when you right out of college? And they're always asking me about when I started and how long did it take me? And, and I feel like that's a concern for some people.
Right. So take us back for you. You were, I understand you were in the medical field. You were working in administration in the medical field. And you always had a desire and an affinity toward design. But what was it like? What was the catalyst? And what was the moment when you said to yourself, that's it. I'm going to pursue this passion for interior design and I'm going to become an interior designer. Take us back to that.
Yes, I was a single mom for many years, so I worked as an administrative at the University of Massachusetts Hospital in Boston. And I did that for many years, bring food on the table, and just always did design and decor on the side. People always said to me, you should really go into design. You should open your own business. And I just constantly had to put it on the back burner. And then now fast forward 20 years later, 30 years later, I met my husband and I moved to Texas, Dallas, Texas. And he said, listen, you don't have to work like that anymore. Your child is grown, your kid, just focus on you, your business, your passion. You have a gift. Use it. Use that. You were here for a reason. You have a gift. I want you to use it and take the moments for you. And so that's what I did. I focused more on my business and getting, but I still was struggling with the age, to how to do this after 40. Where do I start? Who do I ask for advice? Where do I get help? So, being new to a new state and city and not knowing anyone, I enrolled in classes and courses and school, different home staging school and design classes, and anywhere and everything I could, because now here was my opportunity to do what I really wanted to do. And
And let me ask you
and
something. I'm gonna go back and talk about your husband, but right now I'm curious, when you did finally enroll in the different classes and courses, did you find that you were the only person in their 40s, or did you find that, oh, there's other people like me? What was your experience? Mm.
there was some, like, for the staging courses, there was a lot of people my age, because there was a lot of realtors, or they were already in some kind of design aspect and they wanted to pursue something different or just add to their business.
Mm.
Like, a lot of realtors do that so that they don't have to pay stagers, they learn the business themselves.
Mm.
um, but in design, I felt like I was a little bit older than everybody else. And 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 I mean, and that was okay. It was almost like we were all the same same age, because we were all starting from, you know, from
Mm.
first base, that we were just starting from the top.
So you had this belief, I almost want to say, that it wasn't something to be done to go and start a new career in your 40s, but your husband encourages you to do it. He says, go follow your passion. And so
Mm.
that must have felt really special, right? To have him believe in you and encourage you to do it.
Oh, definitely. He is my biggest fan. He said, "You have a gift, and not that you're wasting it or you're not." He just said, "Here's your opportunity.
Hmm.
Go and do what you love to do. Show the world your gift." It's almost like you're not sharing it, and
Hmm.
this is what you should do. If that's what you love to do, I'll back you in any way. And, like, I was telling you, we used to joke around and say he was my staff of one, because he would carry all the tools and come to the, consultations with me, because obviously I didn't know these people from anywhere, so it's just, and because I was new to everything, a state, city, relationship, everything was new to me. And it was like almost a new beginning, after 40.
Hmm.
And and at one point I kept harping on that, like, this, I don't know. I don't know. I I mean, there's so many designers that have started at this age, and they've been doing it for many years, and I don't want to feel like I'll be playing catch up. And I had to realize that it's not about that. It's not about catch up or competing or anything. It's more of sharing my gift with the world, sharing what I have, to offer. Because his motto is, we all have a gift, whether we pursue it, we do anything about it, that's up to us. So
Wow, that's a great outlook.
he allowed me. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's another thing. It's important to have people in your corner, positive, you know, when you're ready to just throw in the towel, there's somebody there to say, no, here's the towel back, keep going.
You
you
don't
know,
get to throw that towel in there, sweetie.
that's
Pick it
right.
back up.
That's right. That's
Right?
right.
So the thing is, what I'm hearing is that, I'm almost feeling like I could almost sense, how we always say, the one on the one shoulder this is happening, on the other shoulder that is happening. On the one shoulder you've got this desire,
Hmm.
this passion for interior design, but on the other shoulder there's this voice that's saying, the ship has sailed, it's too late, you can't do it.
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and do you think you would have actually had the courage and the strength to go to the schools and get the different classes and stuff if your husband hadn't encouraged you? In other words, do you think you might have come to it eventually on your own, or really is rooted in his starting with his belief in you?
I think I still would have done it. I think it would have just took me a little bit longer,
Mm.
because I did start courses before I actually moved to Texas.
Okay.
And, and I said, no matter how long it takes, I'll do this. I'm just going to do At that point, I just wanted to get the degree. I just wanted to just complete something first. And then who knows what'll happen in the future. I might not do anything with it, but at least I'll start somewhere. It was, he was the catalyst that was, oh no, 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 no. You don't even know what level you're at. You don't see what I see. So you need to, if that is truly what you want to do, then go for it. I'm standing here. I'm your biggest fan, and I want other people to see, what I see. So but I still think I would have done it. I just think, he allowed me to sit back and say, I don't have to work 40 plus hours, 50 plus
There's a
hours. I
gift in
don't
there
have to,
because it's supporting you. Yeah. In all
yes,
the ways supporting you,
yes,
right? And
yes,
so that's a gift there. But
yes.
I think that what I and look, you sound like you're scrappy. You raised kids as a single mother. You worked in a big hospital. I
Mm-hmm,
believe that
mm-hmm,
if you had wanted to get your degree and needed to work and support yourself financially, you would have
mm-hmm,
done it. It just
mm-hmm.
sounds like it was really a nice gift to have him actually just look at you and say, "You go for this, go do it." Right? It's a nice thing. So you're in class. Go
Mm-hmm.
down that road a little bit, because again, we're assuming that there are others listening to the podcast that maybe are not quite ready to say go for it, and maybe you're going to be the person that is going to encourage them to go for it. So you get to class and most of the other students are younger than you, but you said that you pretty much right away just felt like the age wasn't a thing because you all were learning the same things new. So were there any trips in that area, like little missteps where it felt weird or it felt awkward and you had to power through it, or was that not an issue?
I think the aspect of starting your own business is where I was trying to get to, because in the class, even though I was older and we're all starting new, I mean, they would do projects or assignments that I'm like, are you kidding? That's like second nature. I know that this fabric goes with that fabric, and that, oh, that, I know the color scheme of this, and the color wheel, and what complementary colors. Like, I knew all that. It almost came like second nature as far as the basics. And so I felt like even if I was on my own in that class, I was good. I was okay.
Mm.
It was the business aspect that it's like, okay, how do I start my own business? How do I hire a team? How do I, all the admin stuff of that,
Mm.
and am I going to be able to pay a team? I guess I'll have to just be a one man show for a few years, and just that. So I was assuming once I got a degree, okay, now this is going to teach me how to be a business person, which does not. It does not. However, the other end of that spectrum is, and this is most recently from listening to a lot of the people that you interview on your podcast.
Mm.
A lot of the questions I had through the years, like, I'm not alone.
Right.
There are seasoned designers that feel the same way, that will talk about certain things, and I'm like, wow, they felt like that too. Or, oh, that's smart. Oh, I wish I did that. Just so many little nuggets that I get from when you interview some designers, and I feel like, okay, I'm not alone. Yeah, could I have learned that 20 years ago? Sure, but I'm learning it now, and you know, it is what it is. It's just you know, being sitting in a class amongst people that, like, I always say to myself, I wonder what they're doing now. I wonder if they started their business. I wonder if they, just moved on to something else. But, you know, starting class, and then I have to say, when I moved to Texas and I started taking more design courses, it felt like I was being repetitive of what I already learned.
Mm,
However, they took it up a notch because, as you know, through the years, things change.
mm,
They progress and they elevate. So I liked it. I love being a student, even though I kind of felt like, I got that, but
mm.
there was a lot of things I didn't get. So,
Right.
so.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. I mean, first of all, what I know is that I guess the different areas of the country and so forth, but I feel like New York School of Interior Design, FIT here, I feel like those classes have a lot of mix of adults. At least I guess I should say I know a lot
Mhm.
of designers here that went to school at New York School of Interior Design or FIT as adults, right? So I always feel
Mhm.
like I visualize the design schools with a nice mix of different age groups of students. But obviously, every university and every college setting is going to be a little bit different. So,
No, and I think that's true. I
yeah.
really think that's true because I mean, you could see a 70-year-old with a 20, 30-year-old in college these days. I mean, there's no, and I think so. And that wasn't it for me. I think it wasn't even the student thing. I think it was the business thing. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, geez, I should be having my own business now instead of sitting in classes. But, I mean, you know, you got to take life as it comes, and you know, and fall into the mantras. Maybe that wasn't my time. My
Mm-hmm.
time was to raise my son and to be the best mom I could, and provide for him. And then, it's almost like when you tell God your plans.
Yeah. He
It's
laughs,
like, ha
right?
ha ha,
She
yeah.
laughs.
Hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Right. Exactly. Well, I have to say, I do appreciate the perspective of where you were. That thinking that should I, could I, is it too late? Is there enough time? For me, I started the podcast when I was 53, so
Mm,
I did not that was not a thought process that I went through when I started the podcast, and I'm sure there's things that I struggled with that you would have sailed through, right? And so that's why when I read your email to me, I said, "Oh, there if one I always think if one person is experiencing it, then it is, there's dozens and dozens of others that are experiencing it." So now you've had your business,
hmm.
and it's how many years since you've had the business now?
Now it's about, I think I'm going on my 12th year.
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
12
12 or
years
13
later,
something.
the time has
Mhm.
passed. Could you imagine if you had not done this? What would you be doing for these 12 years? And you've got another 20 years that you can do it, right, Mariana?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So you're super
God
happy
willing.
about doing it, right? In other words, what I'm looking for
Oh,
is
yeah.
that little thing to somebody who's like, okay, yes, it's worth it, right?
Well, yes, and like one thing I want to say back to, like, as far as like the time frame that you do things, and I'll never forget the best advice I was ever given. I remember telling someone when it was time to go to school, gosh, I'm 40. I'll be 44 when I graduate. Do you know how long that is? 4 years. I'll be 44 years old graduating. And she said, guess what, honey? You're going to be 44 no matter what. And I said, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, it's like light bulb moment where that I know that. Why didn't I think of that?
Right.
But it's just like that aha moment where you're like, of course, no matter what even if I said, gosh, I'll be 60 by the time my career takes off. Well, guess what? Someday you're
Yeah.
going to be 60 anyway. So you might as well take that opportunity and do what you love while you're here.
Exactly.
And through the years, I mean, I've come so, like, my husband even says to me, "Wow, I remember a time when you didn't want to do that, or you know, you shied away from that, or didn't want to, talk money to clients. You were so nervous, and now you're
Mm,
just like boom, boom, boom.
mm,
It is what it is. This is it. Da-da," and or in the beginning of your career where you just like take on any projects, and it's like, oh, I got to build myself, and then you get to a point where it's like that. I don't know if that's really going to benefit me, or or even the client, or you get to that point stage in your life, and that's where I think you get where, okay, I'm okay now. Could I be
mm,
better? Yeah. Could I
mm,
be worse? Yeah. But I'm okay now.
mm.
I'm all right. You get to write your own story.
I love it. I think it's great. And so your firm now, what does it look like? How many is it? Are you a solo? Like, tell us about the makeup of your firm.
Well, I've come beyond my staff of one, because at one point he said, "Listen, you got to hire some young guys. I can't carry this stuff anymore. You're getting too big for me." That's what he said. "You get too big. I can't." But now, right now, I have like a staff of four um, guys who do a lot of the heavy lifting and installing, and then I have a team of four females, where I have an intern also, so that's about five. So, and it,
And
a
what
lot of
roles do the different women? What are their job positions?
design assistants,
All
their
design
assistants.
assistants.
Yep,
Okay.
yep,
Okay.
yep. A lot of them help with a lot of the sourcing and the shopping. Some will help with with like admin stuff, organization. The majority of them help with installs, because that's where I'm really I more hands on deck the better. Um,
In your
especially f-
business, you're doing interior design and staging. Is that why that there's a lot of that moving in the heavy of the furniture, or is it what? Explain that to us.
it's both. It's more design now. I
Mm,
started off doing some of the staging. Obviously, I was trying to get my feet wet in the design field, and
mm-hmm.
going to marketplace, and you know, um, going to different uh, design meetings and presentations, and in the process I said, well, I knew a couple of realtors, so I did some staging for them,
Mm,
and I know how to do it, but I prefer design
mm.
more,
Mm-hmm.
because I like the beginning, from the beginning to end, and the happy tears. All in between, and the outcome, but I know how to do both.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I read on your website that you do flat fees, and I love that you say right on your website, we're going to invoice you a flat fee, but it's based on an hourly rate and the number of hours we expect a project to take.
Hmm.
So when you
Well,
explain that to people, do you have some time, like if you were to explain that to somebody, are you at the point where if they say I would rather you this, where you just say that's how I work, and do you recall a time when maybe you were a little bit more loosey goosey and had to learn to stand your ground in the way that you do your fee structure?
oh, definitely, definitely. In the beginning, of course, as anybody knows, you take anything that comes along. It's like,
Right.
hey, can you design my whole house? Here's $1,000. So you just, you just do whatever, because you want to build your portfolio, you want to build your clientele, um, and I just, uh, it's more structured now, yes, because I sit down and I see how many hours and how long it takes. And, a lot of times clients, they don't know. They think that, it's like HGTV, where it's like you just walk in and everything's just done. And I show a lot of behind the scenes on like on my social media, because there is a lot that goes into it. A lot of times I'll show the vision board, and then I'll show, the before, and the whole process, and then the outcome, because especially in this day and age, things are taking longer and longer to do, but it's I structured my business around time, and design. I cater more to modern design, even though I do all genres of design. Modern design, people that have modern style will gravitate to my designs, and it takes it takes time to find that exact piece, um, that scale, so I sit down and I structure the contracts around the room size, how long it's going to take, the process, um, the size, and that is how I come to one flat fee, and then I split up that fee within the time frame that it takes from beginning to end, so that the client's paying monthly installments. I'm always getting paid, they're always getting something, you know, happening, and everybody's happy.
Mm.
Um, if somebody's not and they say, well, what if I just need that? Or what if I just need this? Um, in the beginning of my business, yes, I would do that a lot. Now I've become so, I don't want to say, oh, I'm too busy for that, but it's almost like a lot of the projects I'm doing have become 2 to 4 rooms at a time
Mm.
from beginning to end. So it's hard to just do one, hey, I'll just find you some curtains,
Right.
where I
Right.
haven't, where I don't, that does a disservice, I think, to the client, because I don't know how it's going to work in the rest of the room. It's, and whenever I have a client say to me, oh, I want to do my whole house. I get this a lot. I've been following you forever. I've been
Mhm.
following your work. I love your designs. I want you to do my whole house.
Mm.
Oh, but I probably, I want to wait to see what it's going to cost. I said, listen, you and me both. I want to do my whole house too. But unless we got a money tree in the backyard, or just endless funds, it's not going to happen.
Mhm.
So what I say to the client is, do one room at a time the right way,
Mm.
instead of a whole bunch of rooms here and there and everywhere. And I said, it's overwhelming, not only financially, but emotionally. It's very
Mm.
overwhelming to be all over the place. And, oh, we'll do this. I've had clients say, oh, why are you looking for that room? Do you think you could go, we can get something for my office and this? I'm like, well, first, that's not in the contract. We're just focusing on this. We're
Mhm.
not going to be all over the place. We're going to, we can get to that room, besides the fact we want everything to flow, you know, in a nice, structured, organized way, and, and not be all over. Because if that was the case, then you wouldn't need me. You'd be all over,
Right, you could be all
So,
over by yourself. I'm
yeah,
not gonna
but
let you do that mistake too. You can be unorganized without me.
that's right. And when a client says to me, oh, you're so right. I'm so glad you, yeah. Oh, what would I do? I'm like, that's what I'm here for. That's
Right,
why I'm here,
right. That's why I'm the
So,
professional.
yeah.
Stand back, let the
So,
professional do their job.
and it's so hard. It's so funny when I say that. It just seems, when you start from here and then go all the way here to this point, it's so funny to hear yourself say,
Mm.
listen to the professional.
Right,
Yes,
right.
that's me.
That's you
Here,
now.
me,
That's
me.
you.
Yeah. You know.
Is there something that surprised you? It could be something that surprised you last week or the first year you were in business, at any point in between, about being a business owner of an interior design firm after all the years of having it as this dream on a shelf. Was there a moment where you said, oh, I didn't expect that? And it could be good or bad, but something that surprised you, that you thought, oh, be careful, like we said earlier, be careful what
Hmm.
you wish for, because here's what I wish for
Hmm.
and here's what the reality is. But I think, and I'll just, before I let you answer, I'll say, if it was something that was surprising and hard, I'm going to take a guess that because it took you longer to get there and you also got there at an older age, I'm going to imagine that you processed it quicker and said, you know what, I asked for this, and there's a reason for it, and I can get through it. But was there a moment like that for you, Mariana?
Well, yeah, while you were asking that, I was thinking, I'm like, oh God, I could write a book at all the things. I always joke around and say I could write a book on every single project, because something, has either been a learned lesson or something happened where it's like, okay. But I think, um, it's more of when the feedback I get from someone else, from something I've said or I've done. In two examples, and one quick one was somebody from school contact me. I forgot who this guy was. He sent me a message on Facebook, And he said, I just have to tell you, I am so proud of you. I remember when you used to decorate for friends and family here and there, and just, you didn't have a business, but I've been watching you, and I'm just got to say, I'm so proud of you. And at
Wow.
first I was like, who is this guy? And and I'm like, do I know this guy? And I went back to I said, oh, yes, I remember him through a friend of a friend. I knew him through friends. And then so that happened, I think last year or a year or two ago. And then most recently, someone that was working, with me, because I try to say with me instead of for me, even though I
You're
hired
her
her.
boss. You pay her
Yeah,
salary.
yeah.
It's
Well, she
okay. It's
now
not a
has
bad
her,
thing.
yeah, which now she has her own company. But I remember
Oh.
her saying to me, I don't know if we were doing a project or we were at a client's home, and I was um we were talking about a project not going seamless, to
Mm.
where when it's time for a photo shoot, somebody was saying, oh, a photographer was telling me, oh, I've had other designers, they kind of will change out accessories if they feel like that accessory doesn't work right in the space, but the client didn't want to pay for that, so the designer bought it and would take pictures with it, and they thought it worked great. And I remember that in my head. And then this other person that now has her own business was expressing to me, oh, I did a project, but I don't even know if, in the end, I'm going to be able to take, professional pictures. And so I said to her, listen, not every project is photo worthy.
Mm.
The reason you do what you do is to make the client happy. So as long the client is the goal, a happy client is the goal, not the professional shot. Sure, will we love that for our portfolio? Yes, of
Mm.
course. But in the end, that is, even if you have to switch out something, I kind of randomly threw that in there from when the photographer told me that. So I was learning something, and then I told her that. And so I said all that to say, she now says to me, every time some project, just has like something that needs changing or swapping out or is not working out, you are in my head. Not every project is professional photograph worthy.
Mm.
This is the objective. She goes, I hear that in my head. And
Mm.
so I mean, and she's a young designer. I mean, she's a mom and a wife, and she is doing it all. And I'm proud of her. Even when she, started her own, it's like, I want to see you progress. I hate to see you go, but I want to see you
Yes.
progress. But for her to say that to me, and then to watch her flourish, is like,
Mm.
wow,
That's exciting.
yeah,
And
yeah, it's
all
just.
that happened because you decided to follow your dream instead of saying that at 40 you were too old. Hello.
I still was 40. I turned 40. I turned 50. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's gonna happen no matter what.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. So, what are some of the things that if you were, sitting with, five or six potential designers now who are in their 40s or 50s or 60s and are just saying, okay, that all worked for you, and you had your husband who supported you,
Hmm.
and all the things, what would you say? Yeah, but this. What's something you would say?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I say that to him sometimes when I'm frustrated. If it wasn't for you, and he's like, listen, somebody could just tell you, just push you, but you have to be the one to do it. I can't. I
Mm.
can't go
Yep.
design a room. I mean, you're the one with the gift. I just help facilitate showing, pushing you out there so you can show what your skills are. You have the skill. You're the one that's doing it. So, you know, in the end, no, somebody could push you all day and night, but I mean, if you don't have that skill, if you don't have that gift, yeah, so that's what I would say. It's like, no matter what he said to me, you know, it was up to me. And now, I could tell my confidence is a lot more from within than hearing him say that,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
it took a while to get there. And
Mhm.
like we all do, we still, you still question, well, oh, I could be like that, or I wish I had that, or I wish I could do that. But you still always question it. But you know once I get a client that says, I've been following you for years and I've always wanted to work with you, and from I saved up my money just so I can hire you,
Mm. Mm.
to um I was waiting to build my home. I was going to call you sooner because I want you. I love your work, but I waited to build my home. I mean, I have like 4 clients in January that
Mm.
one's waiting to break ground. I mean, and so when I hear those little things that they've been waiting for me, when they could have called somebody else, in
Mhm.
all those years that they were following. And, and another little aha moment was my Houston client who said she interviewed 3 designers, and, you know, which of course is for designers are a little red flag too. However, after knowing her 2 years now, initially it was because she wanted to have a good vibe with the person. She read my website and said, and this is funny too, that she said, your personality jumped off the page.
Mm. It does. It
Yeah,
does.
and she said, I kind of like get you. And one designer it was because of cost, and another designer just the personality, it was stale, the conversation. And then the other one, it just, they didn't have that kind of, vibe with them. And she said, she even tells me now, I knew from the first virtual conversation, because we started in the pandemic.
Mm.
And she said, from that first virtual one, I knew that you were the one I was going to work with. And now, 3 rooms later, and we're starting 3 rooms now again in the new year. Well, we're finishing 3 rooms and starting again. Um, she's like, I'm always gonna, contact you. I'm always looking for rooms for you to do. So, you know,
I'm gonna
those little
build an extra room on the back just so.
exactly, exactly. I have so many return clients, and I think that's another thing that builds that confidence too. It's like, oh, I can't wait for you to start more rooms, instead of
Mhm.
I'm never calling her back again,
Right, right, right,
So,
right, right.
you
Yeah.
know,
No, that's awesome. I love that, really the heart of your answer was the first line that you started with, which is you have to be the one to do it. Whether you
mhm.
have the emotional or physical or financial support of someone, or you're on your own doing it, or the person you're with thinks you're crazy to do it,
Mhm.
ultimately, you have to be the one to do it. You have to decide that you have to decide to be excellent, right, Mariana? You have to
Mhm.
make the decision to execute, right?
And not only that, then I remember you were interviewing somebody, and I recall that designer was saying that she had, that she was she's up till 4 in the morning, and she works when everybody's sleeping. And she was just saying all these things that she was doing. And I have a team, but not just a couple. And I'm taking on this, I'm taking on that. And I remember thinking to myself, she's got to be single. She has to have no kids,
Oh, I
lives
know.
alone. And
Right.
you know who I'm talking about.
Yes,
But
because she wasn't, right?
yeah, no, she was not. And she has like 2 or 3 kids. And I'm
I
like,
think it's like three or
what?
four kids.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, are you kidding? And I remember when she was talking, I was jotting down little notes and I was listening, and I'm like, that is so true. That is so, oh, I'm going to incorporate that. Oh, that is
Yeah,
smart.
yeah.
And
That was
and
Ariella Horowitz, right? Was that
yes,
Ariella? Oh my
yes,
goodness.
yes. I love her. I love her
Oh,
designs. I love her work.
yeah.
And
She's really
she's
a
just,
particular dynamo. Since that interview, we are doing work with her at WindowWorks. Kim is working on
oh,
projects with her. And I said to Kim, when Ariella called and she said, hey, I'm going to, have you guys do some window treatments, I said to Kim, buckle your seatbelt, lady.
yeah, she don't, I mean, she is, and she looks so like
Yeah, like whatever.
calm,
Yeah.
not meek, that's not the right word, but
No,
it's
but
very
like
calm, and just
just
like
like
a,
her day's regular, and not that it's like on,
yes.
super turbo.
Oh yeah, and to listen to her, I'm like, this is Superwoman right here. I
Yeah.
mean, she cannot. She has to be single and lives alone, and this is all she does. And no way. When she said she had a family and her husband helps out, I was just
I
was
know.
like in awe
I
of
was
her. And
the same way.
mm,
I literally was like, I thought I was busy. I now feel like I'm
Yeah.
like living a life on Valium here. Like,
Yeah.
come on, Luann, wake up and get something done today.
Yes, it's almost like, "What? And I'm complaining about this? Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, and her work
But
is gorgeous. It's just
but you
she's a
said the right
particular
word,
talent.
dynamo, because that
Yes.
some people just like, you know,
Mhm. But you know
stand
what it
out
is
and
too, and I'm
just
gonna.
yeah, she's
The thing about it is what I learned in that episode, and I hope that it came through in the episode. And we'll put the show in the show notes so that you guys can go back and listen to it if you missed it. She has very specific systems and processes. And that
yes.
is the reason that she is able to handle such an incredible amount of work
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
actually next to no team. And I imagine that she applies that to the family life with the kids.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
I would bet $1 million that the kids don't come home and one person's book bag goes here and one person's lunchbox goes there. It's it's you can just imagine.
Yeah.
Not that she never
Yeah.
has to tell the kids or nudge them to do the right thing. They're children, right? But
Mhm.
I guarantee you, when she goes to sleep at night and those kids go up to bed, all the stuff is ready for the next day,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
it's
Because
probably
that's
yeah,
how
yeah.
you
Yeah.
manage
Yeah.
a large amount of detail, whether it's the detail related to 4 children or the detail related to 4 projects. It's having your
Mhm.
processes down. And that was what really, in my mind, and then, of course, she has to have stamina, which she clearly
Oh, yeah.
does.
I'm like, "What is she taking? I need a couple of it. Yeah, I need
Right?
some of that energy. I need
It's
all
like,
that." But that's
what's
what I
in her
got from it.
Wheaties, right?
That's what I got from it. She
Yeah.
already has beautiful designs, and
Hmm.
she has her niche. You can clearly look at her work and see where it is,
The
and, I mean,
style. Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I'm in awe of her work. I mean, she's one of
Yes.
the designers that I look at and I'm like, "I need to take it up a notch because I mean,
Yes. It's
I would
beautiful.
have there's not you can love a lot of designers, but there's always that one or two that, okay, I would have her design my home. And that's
Mm.
how I feel about her. But
Oh.
what I got from that podcast was, as what you said, the how she has all these systems in place. And I'm like,
Hmm.
that is the way to go. That's how it flows. Because
That's
you could
it.
have two, three people, and what is that motto? Work better, not harder. You
Right.
know, and that's how that's how it seems like to me. Like, I mean, she I'm sure she works hard too, but it's like once you have those systems in place, it makes it easier to
Hmm.
flow. And that's
Absolutely.
what
And
I
the
got
thing
from
for
that.
me that was particularly interesting for me was because she had done my daughter's best friend's home, and it's a large home. It's probably 7 or 8 thousand square feet. I have no idea. It's an amazing, amazing home, and my daughter's friend is that way. She's very structured, knows exactly where this. I mean, I've known this kitchen. She's 13 years old and traveled with us
Mm,
all over. The girls both played competitive softball, and Lauren always like knew where her bat was, where her glove was, where they like. And so I know that as a grown woman who is herself an accomplished professional, Lauren, she wouldn't tolerate any amount of disorganization or chaos throughout the process of building and designing her home. So I know for a fact that Ariella is everything she said she is.
mhm,
So
mhm,
not a smoke and
mhm.
mirrors thing is
She
what
needs
I'm
to teach
saying.
a class. That's what she needs.
Yeah, right.
She
We
needs
got
to
to get her at
teach.
Lou University.
Add another thing to her list.
That's it. 4:30 a.m. to 5:45. Ariella.
You don't need sleep. Who needs sleep? Come on.
No, I know, I know.
That's
So
that's so
that's so
fun.
fun to hear that you as a designer with your own skill set and your own talents, there's somebody that you look up to, and I'm sure that's the case for
Mhm.
many, right? And so,
Mhm.
what else did we leave anything out that you want to share in your message to your colleagues who maybe are listening? We do, Mariana, have a lot of people who listen who have yet to take the leap to build their business, to open their business. I mean, you've heard it on the show how many have said Darla Powell, Megan Moulton, the farmer's
Mm-hmm.
daughter, Kelsey Gross. So many
Mm-hmm.
come to my mind that they're like, I'm listening to the podcast for weeks and weeks and months. And finally, I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be one of those that does it. And so, how about anything come to mind that you'd love to did we leave anything out that they should know?
I think that just and I so the best is yet to come. I knew that that was going to be the name of my business even before I met my husband. Like I always said,
Yeah.
if I had a business, that's what would be the name, because I feel like, you know, no matter what your um no matter where you are in life, if you always feel like, oh, better is to come, it doesn't matter what age. I say that this is the that it's not the norm to start your business later, but some people might feel like, who cares what age you are, it doesn't matter. That's just how I feel. Like I felt like the norm would be start younger, start out of college, retire at my age, but that might not be the norm for somebody. And I don't want that to come across as, oh boy, i I want it to come across as, you know if you feel, go back to the mantra of, we all have a gift, we're all born
Mm,
with something, whether we use it. That that really helped me a lot, because it's like, I know so many people that have talent and they do nothing with it. Like
yes.
my intern, not, and I'm not talking about her when I said that, but my intern, not only did she want to do design, but she is a runner. She runs track at her school. She's got legs for days. She could be a model. She's gorgeous.
Mm.
And I mean, there's nothing this girl can't do. She left me. She'll still work with me here and there. As a matter of fact, in an install that we're doing, she's doing this month. But she's in Houston. She ended up going to architect school. And
Mm.
she said to me, I love design, working with you all these years. I'm going to try for architect. What do you think? And I'm like, you're a rock star at anything.
Go
So
for it.
I know
Yeah.
you will. Recently, one of my team members said, "Did you see so and so? Did you see her on Instagram?" And I went to this video. She sings. I'm
Oh
like,
my
this girl,
goodness.
this girl's like a quadruple threat, and amazing. Where all her friends put her on to go on to American Idol, and I said, this girl, I mean, she has it all. And I I'm talking about her because I always say to her, when you graduate from school, make sure whatever you want to do, start then. However, to me, that's how my mindset works. As I thought the norm should be, you have to come out of college and just do what you have to do. I was always told that. My parents were like, listen, when you graduate, from high school, you're going to go to college, you're going to be this. That's what we're told that we should do. And so that stuck with me for so long. And the
Mm.
reason why I'm saying that is because I don't want that to be the reason somebody is stuck.
Right.
Like, because I have a lot of friends that are my age that, they've changed their careers, or they changed something, or they're all over the place with their what they want to do. And they say, good for you. I could never do that now at this age. And it's like,
Mm.
why? Or they might be thinking, if it wasn't for your husband, you probably wouldn't have. Or, just whatever those naysayers are.
Right. But to your
You,
point, you still have to show up and do it.
that's right. And you
Yeah.
have to put in the hard work, and you have to, you know, work when everybody else is, I mean, yeah, work when everybody's sleeping, and do the thing, whatever it takes. Somebody once said that to me. I listened to a podcast one time that said, while everybody's sleeping, it's quiet.
Mm.
Sit and and that's your time to,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I started doing for a while. That's what helped me, to escalate, my
Mm-hmm.
business, is I worked when everybody was sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
still do. Some days I get up at 4:30, and I do things that I know I'm behind on. But whatever it takes, it doesn't matter. It's
Mm-hmm.
follow, because the saddest thing is leaving this world with not really using your gift till its fullest potential.
Right, right.
You know?
100%. I agree. I mean, it's whatever is in you. And the thing is, I'm about to say, whatever's in you, you owe it to the rest of the world to pursue it and bring it out, right?
And
But
to
there are,
yourself.
yeah, and
And
to
to
yourself, right?
yourself. Hmm.
But there are times and places. And so sometimes, I mean, I don't know for you, but I know that if I had the idea and the opportunity to create this exact same podcast at 33 instead
Hmm.
of 53, I know
Hmm.
for a fact it wouldn't have been successful. I didn't have the perspective of the 30 when I started at the 35 years in business to bring to the conversation. I would have had the enthusiasm, I would have had the curiosity, but I would not have had the perspective. And I think that's the perspective that informs and makes the
Hmm.
podcast just a tiny bit better and than what I would have been able to do before. So I'm sure that you probably have that same sort of feeling at some level, right? Like if I had been an interior designer at 25, would it look the same? Would it be as fulfilling? Would I, be doing the work that I'm doing, or would I be phoning it in because I'd be trying to just whatever? I don't know. Like I feel like
Hmm.
everything happens when it's supposed to happen, as long as
Hmm.
you make the decision to do it. Like you can't.
That is
There's a
so
moment,
true.
right? There's a moment where you
Yeah.
could not seize the opportunity, and that's
Hmm.
that's different than it wasn't the right time. Like that to me, that's when I talk about listening to your inner voice and your intuition, and you know
Hmm.
when it's time for something.
Hmm.
And do you let it go by, or do you have the courage to chase it and to make it happen? And so, hopefully today, Marianna, that you encourage someone, and it would be nice if there is that someone out there that they let you and I both know to say that's it. Today is the day.
That's right. It's never too
Right?
late. And it's so true. So true that you said, that's the positive spin on that. That's the outlook they have to have is that,
Hmm.
you know, I do disservice not only to the people that want what I have to offer, but to myself.
Right,
And
right.
and and to go for it, to go for it. It's never too late.
That's right. I love it.
Hmm.
Well, thank
Hmm.
you so much for sharing your story and your journey on this planet here, Marianna, becoming an interior designer. It's been very fun and interesting to get to know you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Before I share my observations, I want to remind you that tomorrow, if you're listening in real time, January 19th, 2022, is my Doma Studios 19H The Rethink. I'm inviting you to join us for this one-day workshop packed with information, tools, and templates. This isn't the typical recycled advice. You know my Doma Studio. They are always breaking the mold. This is new. This is bold. I'm going to open the event and get things riled up, and then together with my Doma Studio and the other speakers, we are going to help you get and keep 2022 on track. Register now at mydomastudio.com/19H Luann. Okay, the link will also be in the show notes. So, Marianna, on one hand, she had her desire and her passion for design. And on the other hand, she had this voice saying that her ship had sailed. Thank goodness for her encouraging husband, right? And as terrific as he was to encourage her, we know it's always up to us to make the decision to do something, just as it was for Marianna. The thing is, I believe, everything happens when it's supposed to happen. And like I always say, it's about listening to your inner voice and your intuition. Don't ignore it, because when the time is right, you have to make moves. If I had started a well designed business podcast 20 years ago, do you think it would have been successful? I know it wouldn't. Not a chance, not even a sliver of a chance. My passion, my excitement, and my curiosity would have been there. But in hindsight, I know that not only would the timing not have been right between window works and raising my family, I would not have had the chops to handle these interviews with all of these rock star men and women. Yes, curiosity all day long, experience and perspective, mm-mm. And that would have dramatically affected the quality. So there's a fine line between wanting something, going for it, and not biding time, but not questioning, right? And then seizing it though when it feels right. Okay. So the thing about this is I can't tell you when one time or the other is right. Like I wanted to do something like this 20 years ago. Marianna wanted all those years to do design. Okay. So there's this weird little thing in there. But the difference is when her husband started to encourage her, then all of a sudden it was like, oh, go time. And that's the moment you got to listen for. That go time moment, all right, that you hear in your head. Okay? Because if you miss that moment, now you might miss it forever. And so if you're in that moment now where your inner voice, your goddess voice is telling you it's go time, then I suggest that you listen to Marianna and take the leap. Okay? And just for clarity, we have a lot of voices rolling around in our heads, right? The goddess voice, your true inside voice, is never negative. Never. Okay? Any voice that says you're not enough, you can't, you probably can't, why you, this is not your true highest self. This is old programming. This is negative influences. Okay? Now, I sound pretty confident on this, don't I? And do I have access to the actual, workings of our brain and all the things? No, but think about it logically. Why would a human being be created on this earth to self-sabotage? It's illogical. There's no animal on earth that's created that instinctively self-sabotages. So it's a learned thing. It's an environmental thing. It is the thing, the whole conglomeration of every parent, colleague, neighbor, kid, teacher that has ever spoken to us. And I think the difference is we've all had the people have talked to us to help us reach our highest self over the years, as well as we've had the influences that work against us. It's which ones do you tap into? Which ones? Like, throw away the negative. Throw away the negative self-talk and be quiet and listen to that highest self voice. It never lets you down. It never lies. But you have to make sure you're listening to that one. Okay? So, are we clear? Negative thoughts. Banish them. Ignore them. Rise above them the way Marianna did. Okay? All right. Little rant over. All right. Marianne assumed that once she got her degree, this is another interesting part, right? That she would know how to be a business person. She decided, she thought, okay, I've got my degree. I know how to run a design firm. So we know that she has the talent. She had it. She practiced it for 20 years. But how are you supposed to know this business aspect, right? Well, this is the whole reason for the podcast, right? And the whole reason that the podcast is successful is because many of us did not know how to run a business. So it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to make you feel less than. Okay. They just don't teach enough of the business side in design school, in any school, unless you're in business school for that matter. Do you think they teach business side enough in medical school? No, they don't. Right. So you got to go and get your information because one without the other is not going to work. This is why we started Lou University, right? After more than 700 conversations about the business side of design, I've learned where the gaps are in that education, whether it's a formal education or a self-taught education, right? And every Lou U class is designed to address those gaps. Our departments include window treatments for profit, expand your mind, grow your profit. The profit is in the numbers, process leads to profit, and more. Go to luannuniversity.com to see what we have. We will be announcing scholarship time soon, probably in the next month. And then our next semester will begin in April, right after High Point. Okay. And before I go, I want to say one last thing. Thank you to Leanna, Maria, Meredith, and Peggy for your recent reviews on iTunes. I so appreciate that you took the time to write them. And I love, 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 love the messages you wrote. Thank you. Thank you so much. All righty. I really do appreciate that you show up every day. I really do. Have a great day. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.